Late start tonight. Nope. Wrong. You did that wrong. Forgot what you're doing. Can you do this fast enough? Race against time, folks. Oh, goodness. I don't think so. It's just 8:03. My goodness, it's entirely too late.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who brings the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair?
We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, North American continent, Western Hemisphere, part of these United States currently on this planet Earth. Third rock from the sun, the only planet we have in this Milky Way galaxy. This is TKE Tonight, the Kennedy Effect Tonight, back with you after a long holiday and wedding break. Back with you live for the 7th of January. Everybody having fun watching Jeff's brain very, 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 very slowly click into gear here. Because it is not pretty. It's not a pretty sight, gang. after quite a long break away. But thrilled to be here with you, the 7th of January, 2025. And I can say with all honesty that I didn't think I would be this. I didn't think I'd get this far. I didn't think when I was younger, I didn't think I just lived this long. I didn't even want to. I didn't think I'd get this far. So it's kind of cool to be with you today. It really is. And I'm just very happy to be with you, very honored to be with you, very humbled as always. And I'm just thrilled. I'm just happy to be back with you. And it's very, very humbling. I do miss you all when I'm away, which might sound very odd, maybe even a little corny. But it is the truth. I do miss you all when I'm away. I did a couple different times think to myself, I'm going to hop on. I'm going to go do the show, even though I know I didn't have one scheduled. And the listenership probably would have been quite low. But there's just too much to say. And there's, we've built too much community here, I think, to just ignore it. I thought I would, do that a couple times, and then I didn't because I was just exhausted. It was a lot. It's been a lot through the holidays and through all the wedding activities. And the health stuff continues to be a considerable issue. But we'll get into all of that. Let me first just say a hearty welcome to, and I hope I get everyone. Welcome back to Donna and to Randall. Hello to Larry. Larry, I feel like you've been here before, but yet at the same time, I'm not sure that I recall your name. A special hello to Lehigh Valley for All. And to Eric. Eric is a new name, I think. Not sure that I recall you being here before, Eric, but thank you for being here. Very kind of you. And this is just from Facebook, by the way. To my friend Nicholas, I think recently celebrated a anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. And to Pam, to Jerry. Hello, Jerry. Welcome to all of you. Thrilled that you are all here. If you are checking this out for the first time, thanks so much. By the way, if you're checking this out for the first time, where the hell have you been for 6 years? I'm kidding. Just kidding. Let's get to the business end of the program, shall we? 8:10. It literally just flipped when I was forming the words. 8:10 Eastern Time here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You are watching TKE Tonight, the Kennedy Effect Tonight, live for the 7th of January, 2025. And yes, I almost said 2024. Caught myself right at the last minute. You are watching us and can be watching, and I hope you will tell everyone that you can think of that you can watch us live on Facebook. That other side of information is our main home group Facebook page. We have shared the program. If my phone would ever respond to let me know how many places I've actually shared the program, that would be lovely. My phone, as usual, is lagging and the touchscreen is properly non-responsive. We've shared the program to just under 100 different places. I stopped at 99 for some unknown reason. Usually I don't get blocked by Facebook from sharing when I haven't been on for a while, but I got stopped anyway, as usual. We'll get to Facebook in just a second. They were one of the topics of the day. But you can watch us live right now on the Facebook pages of Our Revolution Pennsylvania, the TCP Media Group, the Ghost Claw Productions, of course, and of course my own Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy, and our home group Facebook page for all things that surrounds our program, that other side of information, as well as 100 other places. Quite literally, I can't name them all, to every single individual page, group, no matter how large or small, no matter what your footprint, be it local, regional, statewide, national, global. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your corner of the Facebook universe. I don't care if Mr. Zuckerberg owns it. If he created it, it seems to me it's yours. So thanks for allowing us to be part of your corner of the Facebook universe. We hope that you will continue to stay right where you are, listen, enjoy, watch. Face made for radio, but you're welcome to watch if you would like anyway. Comment, send your questions, be a part of the program. This is not a lecture. It is an interactive, progressive talk, political program, deeply, deeply based in history, and of course, always factual. And if we do get something wrong, I demand that you can correct me right away. And I will tell you that I goofed it and that I am corrected because I am human. And isn't that something? Truth. Wow. Gee whiz, truth. What a fancy, wonderful, wonderful thing in shorter and shorter supply. I'll get to that in just a second. But you can do all of that. You can also watch us live right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/that other side of information. Same name as our Facebook group. We are live right now on Twitch. Just search for Jeff R. Kennedy or search for, I gave myself a new name on Twitch, which I have completely now blanked on, which you would think, by the way, that I would have memorized. Oh, Jeff Kennedy Talk. Hey, I remembered. Wow, how about that? Jeff Kennedy Talk, all one word. It's all stuffed together. We are live there right now in my whopping 4 followers, but hey, you got to start somewhere. And we are also live right now on LinkedIn at Jeff Kennedy as well. The audio of the program blasts around the globe via GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio .live, GCPR.live. Go to our website right now and listen for free. Find the schedule for the entire station for every day. Find all our live programming. Listen to recorded shows, all of it. You can find everything that you ever wanted to know about GCPR and more at GCPR.live. Following us, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Hurricane Girls. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. Thomas returns tomorrow morning with a big, steaming hot pot of the sound of coffee. I wonder if he knows I say that because it really does sound quite odd when I say it. It sounds like it could go. It sounds like it could go a lot of different directions when I say it that way. A large, hot, steaming pot of the sound of coffee returns your way tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. It's all here on GCPR.live and all of the video outlets that I have shared with you previous. Let's get into the program, shall we? And again, welcome to everybody who's returned after a long break in this business. It is usually the kiss of death, and I don't say that lightly. It is. It's very easy to be forgotten about when you take such a long break. So we were away for Christmas, for New Year, and we got married. I still don't know why she didn't come to her senses and run like her hair was on fire. I would gladly show some pictures if I knew how to do it, but I don't. I know there's a way I can share pictures with this, but I think for me to try to do that at the moment would just be, it would be like a random stream of consciousness. and I'm just not going to get in that right now. Let me get into the comments really quick because I think somebody had asked. Let me see. We're only the newly. And Randall says actually we're only concerned about the newly married. Kristen, yeah. Well, thanks, Randall. Gee whiz. Wow, nothing but warmth and love from you. Gosh, I hope nothing happens to you. I'm kidding. No, I understand. She's way prettier than me and smarter, and believe me, she's all I worry about too. I don't worry about me. I worry about her. I worry about Daisy the dog. So I'm with you. Winter has a full. This is actually topical, not just me, sort of just spouting off. Um, it is brutally cold here in the Northeast. Really, throughout the country, temperatures are a bit below normal. In some places where it should be warmer, and the reason why this cold snap has come as viciously and forcefully as it has. Has to do with global climate change. And I think it's one of the really important reasons why we no longer just refer to it as global warming. The planet is warming. That is inescapable. The climate is changing. The planet is warming. Habitable zones are creeping further and further toward the two Arctic circles, the Arctic to the north, the Antarctic to the south, of course. The inhospitable zones around the equator are beginning to spread. Desertification, I did not just make up that word, that's a real word, is expanding throughout Africa. You would see, if you were to look at a satellite picture or video from the International Space Station over Africa, you would see that essentially what's just brown, looks like brown from space, is creeping ever further south. And the air that is over Pennsylvania right now is actually quite literally Arctic air. I know we tend to call it Arctic air whenever it gets cold. Oh, it feels like the Arctic out there. Well, it does. But given the forcefulness of the winds and the consistency of the forcefulness of the winds going on, well, this goes back probably to last Thursday or even Wednesday. So you're talking about a week now of these 15, 20, 25, 40 plus mile an hour winds. The warming of the oceans, or the cooling of the oceans, depending on where in the ocean you are. Some areas are cooling as the ice caps and glaciers and Arctic ice melts into the water. Other places where that temperature is rising, like off of Australia and the large, massive coral reefs are bleaching because the water is actually too warm for the coral to live. The temperature of the Gulf of Mexico, which is another topic for today, Gulf of Mexico. Even in winter now, some of the water temps are in the 80s and 90s. During the heat of summer, the water can, in places, actually reach triple digits. It's even warmer than the water you put in your bath. All of this is the result of global climate change. And the temperature of that water has changed some of the ocean currents. Those currents also are directly related to the air currents that travel around the planet. One of those air currents, of course, being the jet stream, which travels from west to east, and used to be an extremely forceful barrier of air that in the summer the jet stream would drift north, allowing hot air to come up from the south in combination with the tilt of the planet would allow us to have summer. It would be hotter, more direct sunlight from the planet. Even though the planet was further away from the sun, the tilt of the planet onto the northern hemisphere, we had summer. You would see the jet stream drift further north on those rare occasions when I was younger. On those rare occasions, it would drift north. Some tropical air would come up, and you would have Indian summer, what we used to call Indian summer, or farmers' summer, harvest summer. That second round of summery weather that would kind of tell farmers that you need to bring in the harvest. Or give you that occasional warmth in the winter months. And of course, in the winter, the jet stream would drop, allowing cold air to come down, combined with the fact that the northern hemisphere was now tilted away from the sun, allowing for much less direct sunlight, and then it was colder. Well, and there are several jet streams, actually, one of which usually goes right across the United States. It would drift north and south, again, as I just explained. Here's a jet stream, or an air barrier, if you will, around the Arctic Circle. It has weakened to such a point that Arctic air, literal Arctic air, not just cold air, but literal Arctic air, has been able to drift down all the way to the United States. And it's what we're going through right now. I'm pointing out my window like you have any idea what I'm pointing at. Trust me, there's a window over there. I'm pointing at it as if you have any idea what I'm doing. The camera's focused on me, which is probably a mistake in production anyway, but I'm pointing out the window as if you have some kind of idea what the hell I'm doing. But that said, and it's a literal Arctic air that we're suffering through right now. It is cold, it is dry, the winds are relentless. They are nearly constant. And it's just brutal outside. It just is. Randall mentions the winds in California. They are experiencing and expecting even worse, a literal wind storm combined with dry conditions is pushing around and spreading wildfires out there. There's a wildfire today that engulfed. I saw this was a headline that popped up on the phone. I did not get to read the article, and I only got to look at it because I was working. I was back to work today for the first day, which was a whole issue in and of itself. That was tough. That was tough. After being off for about 10 days, that was rough getting back to work today. It engulfed about 120 acres, I think it was, in 8 minutes. I think of that. Think of someone that you might have known from your youth that had a farm or a farm stand that you used to go to or something like that if you lived in a more suburban or combo urban area where you could very, very quickly get out to rural areas. Allentown is the third largest city in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but if you drive 10 minutes outside of it, you're farm. So we get that here a bit more, I think, or I should say we understand that a bit more here. Perhaps if you're from Midtown Manhattan, you may not quite grasp it. If you're listening to us in Tokyo or London, as we do have London, you may not quite absorb that, but 120 acres was engulfed in 8 minutes in a California wildfire today. They tend to name the fires now, and I don't know the name of the fire because the winds are so powerful and so intense. As Randall mentions in the chat, some of the gusts up to 100 miles an hour, hurricane-type winds, but completely dry. Special welcome to, and this is in the Facebook because I don't get to see all the names of everybody that pops in across the different social media. To Missy, whom I went to school with. Because ladies are always younger. They're always younger, nicer, smarter, prettier. And I know because I'm and a special hello to Ramon Art Peralta. That's a new name. Don't think I recognize you being here before. Welcome. Thank you. Tell everyone you know. Be a regular. So this are we surprised that it's cold? No. While the Earth itself is at its closest uh, to the sun that it will be in its yearly orbit, the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun. Southern hemisphere is in summer right now. It is tilted closer to the sun. The northern hemisphere tilted away, so much less direct sunlight. So we're used to it being cold, but literal Arctic air should not be dripping down or driving itself down to the lower latitudes. There is a jet stream that surrounds the Arctic Circle that is supposed to prevent the coldest air from coming past it. But global climate change has changed that, it has weakened these jet streams, allowing for the massive flux of air to pass through. And it's also why we see sometimes these wild changes in the daily weather, where it can be literally teens that we're expecting teens. So if you have any idea what I'm doing, we're expecting the weather to get into single digit teens over the next several nights. We might be getting a foot of snow on Saturday, and then very well it could go right up to, I don't know what the long forecast is, I haven't looked at it, but could easily go up into the 60s right after that, because the jet stream, the great protector from these wild weather swings from day to day, week to week, has weakened to a point where it doesn't protect us. But anyway, that's not the main thing that I wanted to talk about. The header for the post, for all the video posts of the program today was, or is, still posted, that we, today was a preview of what the second incarnation of the Trump regime is going to look like. And I don't think anything today can give any of us who did not vote for Trump, anyone who did not vote, period, and even perhaps a small percentage of people who held their nose and voted for him anyway. Because after all, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. Today could not have given anyone encouragement as to the stability of this second incarnation of the Trump regime. Today, Trump held what is technically called a press conference. I don't know if you can call it a press conference in its strictest terms. Technically, it was one because he stood in front of the press and took questions. But then again, during some of those questions, he just proceeded to insult the members of the press. The right-wing press members didn't ask questions so much as feed him answers that he could then agree with. And some of the questions that were posed to him, he never answered. Just went on these rambling streams of consciousness that we have become used to. Let's remember, for as big of an issue as it was made about Joe Biden's age when he was still the Democratic nominee, Mr. Trump is closer to 79 now than he is 78. He is the oldest man ever to hold the office. He's the oldest to run for it. When Reagan ran for a second term, his age was made a significant issue in the campaign. He was 74. Now, we have learned since that he was already suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's, which ultimately claimed his life. Trump is the oldest man to run, the oldest person to run for president, let alone be elected to. So, although no, Bernie might have been had. No, Bernie. No, Trump's the oldest. So he goes into these rambling streams of consciousness. And I did not watch the press conference in its entirety because I was working. I tried to stream it and keep an eye on it. I saw some more highlights of it. As I said, these so-called reporters, members of the quote-unquote press from Fox and Newsmax and so on and so on. The one gentleman stood up, fed Trump the entire, never asked a question. There's never a question mark at the end of his rambling statement, but fed Trump an entire speech, set of statistics, a few of which were not even remotely accurate. We're used to that. All Trump had to say at the end, and then he just kind of stopped talking. He never really asked the question. He didn't even end his rambling with, "Do you agree with any of that, Mr. President-elect," or any of that. He just kind of stopped, and Trump said, "Well, that's of course 100% right. We're going to do all of that." He's doing none of them, of course. I don't even remember what the rambling was about. Implicated brown people and things like that. But so it wasn't a. It may have technically been a press conference, but it was more of a usual. He said whatever he really wanted to say. You have to admit, from a politician's point of view, there is a debating technique that you will learn in your old high school debate club. When you can't answer or can't exactly answer the question that has been posed to you directly, answer the question you want to answer. Whether we like it or not, and I don't like it, and I don't like when Democrats do it, I don't like when Republicans, I don't care who it is. I don't care when I don't like it when CEOs do it. I don't like when cabinet officials do it. Supreme Court nominees, because as we've seen, the last 6 of them, other than Ketanji Brown Jackson, all the going back to Roberts, they all have lied during their Senate confirmation. But it is an actual debating technique and skill. When you cannot answer the question posed to you, you answer the question you want to answer, so that you can put out the information you want to put out. Trump is exceptionally skilled at this. He's very skilled at it. And I don't say that flippantly. It's just the truth of it. He's really skilled at it. And there was a lot of that today. It's sad. You would think someone who's been running for president for 10 years now would have answers. And he just doesn't. And so why is that a big deal? Well, because what it tells you is it really has no actual intention of governing. Because facts that are put to him, the statistics, truth, none of it matters. He simply wants to say what he wants to say and move on. Because the blueprint that is Project 2025 is a mere 12 days away from the beginning of its implementation. The 7th, I'm kind of considering to be done, as it will. You know what I mean? Today is pretty much done. Tomorrow's the 8th. Inauguration day is the 20th. So we're basically 12 days away from the beginnings of the implementation of Project 2025. And included in that is Trump not answering questions. He just doesn't answer questions. He tells you what he wants you to hear, not answering the questions posed to him. And of course, we had the talk today about refusing, would you rule out the use of force to reclaim Panama Canal and to take Greenland? And he said, no, I won't rule it out. Let me give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt of, no, I don't think a president should telegraph everything that they're going to do. I do think there is a place for secrecy. I think there is a place for behind the scenes negotiations, for diplomacy, even for dark, quiet, really behind the scenes diplomacy. But this isn't it. This is not that. It's bluster. I can understand why Trump would want to take the Panama Canal back. I can remember as a kid a great deal of controversy and consternation over the fact that President Carter was going to give the canal, which had been under American control, the canal zone was considered American territory, that he was going to give that back to Panama itself. Trump still considers it American territory. He would like this country to have control of it, and of course, collecting all the fees and monies that come from it. And he has also stated in the past, as have many others, by the way, that the Chinese seem to have whittled their way in there and now have some, even if only direct, control over the Panama Canal, as they have provided Panama with engineering and technical support and advice and so on regarding the maintenance and ultimate expansion of the canal, because it was recently expanded to handle larger ships. So from that standpoint, I can actually understand it. But it also leads to this just chaotic whirlwind of word salad and randomness and thought, and thoughts that are clearly not thought through, and just this bluster and this pounding, this figurative pounding of the chest and the showing off, and these, you're reminded of these ridiculous Chinese-made goods that Trump sells at his campaign stores, of his head on Rambo's body and his head on Captain America's body. Well, 79, coming up on 79 years old, over 300 pounds, morbidly obese. It does take a Photoshop to build a body like that. And I don't have one either. I'm overweight too. Pot is not calling the kettle black here. Well, actually, I am. Yes, I am. Speaking from whence I know. I had a very interesting conversation with a real estate agent friend of ours before the wedding. Kristen and I have passively been looking for bigger houses, or a bigger house, I should say houses, like I'm buying several, barely own this one, or barely can pay for this. It's only the equity that's going to allow me to move on. It's just a whole different conversation for a different day about people being stuck in the rental market. And so we were talking about a couple of properties that we had sent her. What do you think of this house? What do you think of that one? What do you know about it? What can you tell me about it? On and on. The usual kind of discussion I'm sure most of you, if you've ever bought a house before, have had with your real estate agents. We were having this real conversation. And I just happened to ask, because we were kind of wrapping up the conversation, what are you expecting out of this economy with this new second incarnation of this regime coming in? And the agent mentioned to us that she was actually on this very large Zoom call, conference call, with the heads of their real estate trade organization, which included, of course, lifelong real estate agents, owners of real estate companies, lawyers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, they kind of went through their whole pre-prepared spiel, PowerPoint presentation, and on and on. The words are escaping me a little bit tonight. I'm having trouble finding the right words that I want to use. I keep umming, which is terrible to listen to. But we, and she said, yeah, so they went through their speech and their PowerPoint and so on, and they took questions, and invariably one of the very first questions was, what's coming in the future? And here you are, the leaders of the real estate industry in this country, head of the trade organization for real estate agents, told the thousands and thousands of agents that were on this call, we have absolutely no idea what's coming with this new administration. The market could boom, or they could crush it, and the entire thing could collapse, and anything in between. If I were you, agents, telling your customers and potential customers, is now a good time to buy? Should we wait? I would tell them the absolute God's honest truth. I have no idea. Because they have no idea what this new regime is going to bring. It hasn't even been sworn in yet. And it has already brought such monumental chaos and uncertainty ahead of it that an entire real estate industry has no idea how to direct the people who populate its industry. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the absolute top people in the real estate industry, the lobbyists, the top lawyers, owners of the biggest real estate firms across the country, telling their own agents, telling the people in their own industry, we have no idea what to tell you. They didn't even go so far as to tell the agents, push your people to buy now and hope that it doesn't get bad. Drink the milk from the broken glass while the rest of it spills out the bottom. At least you can get a little bit. They said, don't even pick the glass up. They literally don't know what to tell people. And that's the real estate industry, for God's sake. Can you imagine what some of the other major industries in this country are doing? If I was in the fossil fuel industry, I'd feel very secure. If I was in the banking sector, I'd feel very secure. Auto, not so much. Anything related to green industry, I'd be worried. The for-profit education industry, I'd be cracking champagne bottles. A couple of things I want to hit on quick. Randall, of course, is throwing topics at me, perhaps forgetting that we only have an hour. Sometimes I forget I only have an hour. I just looked up at the clock and realized I only have 15 minutes left. There is a program on live after us. I must exit. Judge Cannon in Florida today issued a decision directing the Department of Justice to not release Jack Smith's special prosecutor, independent counsel, which is really more what proper name for what he is, to not release the independent counsel's report. There is no legal justification for this. None. The talking heads on television today, even on MSNBC, tried to justify this lawless decision by saying that Judge Cannon had previously ruled that the appointment of Jack Smith was illegal and unconstitutional anyway. Of course, the special prosecutor that was appointed to look into Hunter Biden, that was legal and okay, even though both men were appointed through the exact same process under the exact same legislation that was passed in the 70s. But the one looking into Trump was illegal and unconstitutional. The one looking into Hunter Biden, perfectly fine. I'm sure that was just an odd coincidence. She used the justification of her lawless decision that Jack Smith had been illegally appointed to say that how can an illegal prosecutor write an illegal report? She has no legal justification for either decision. But again, what you see is the depths to which billionaires own this society. Judge Cannon was not appointed to the bench for her legal acumen. She was not appointed because she is a constitutional scholar. She was appointed because she was bought and paid for, and because she will do what she is told. And, by the way, Trump has mentioned this in the past. She's very pretty, very attractive. Yes, folks, he actually said that out loud. As somehow to be a qualification of her physical attractiveness. She is there because she will do what she is told. Not because she's Lawrence Tribe or Oliver Wendell Holmes or Earl Warren or Thurgood Marshall or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but because she will do what she is told. She will do what she is paid to do. She's owned by the billionaires, and Trump put her there. Any other judge with even an ounce of moral clarity would have recused themselves from the case in the first place, forcing a change of venue. She did because she knew exactly what she was going to do, and that is whatever she was told to do. And that's exactly what she's done so far. A large presence of this program, not the only presence, but a large presence of this program, and where this program has grown the most and is probably known the most, is Facebook. I am, whether I like it or not, although I think decreasingly, I am still largely reliant on Facebook for the proliferation of this program. Now, I quit and deleted my Twitter X profile several weeks ago, if not months. I think it was after the election, so probably a couple months ago. I would like to do the same thing for Facebook. I simply can't. For the future of the program. Today, Mr. Zuckerberg announced that fact-checking at Facebook would cease, and that rather the moderators, the remaining moderators at Facebook, would rely on community comments. That if the Facebook community commented enough on a post that it was not factual or biased or racist, or that they would take action. I think Mr. Zuckerberg did this for two reasons. One, he can fire a bunch of fact checkers and doesn't have to pay them anymore. Because God knows, being the third richest man on the planet, well, in the country, I don't know if he's third on the planet. Probably shouldn't have said that. the third richest man in the country. Just isn't enough. So the maybe combined $1 million of salary that he's paying fact checkers, when he, of course, himself is worth a couple $100 billion. He can now save that money. And I think he also knows the practicality of what's coming. How do you fact check an administration that doesn't deal with facts? How do you fact check an administration who provides no facts, but rather lies and extemporaneously created statistics? He couldn't employ enough fact checkers to get through the next 4 years. They'd probably all quit within a few months out of burnout. Mr. Zuckerberg also donated $1 million to the Trump Inauguration Fund. Inaugural funds are a very funny thing. The money is generally used to pay for the inauguration and the festivities around it, like the parade and certain black tie affairs and so on. There's also government expense as well. Capitol Police are used that day. Government facilities are used, all of which are paid for by the government. The funny thing about the inaugural fund is if it's not fully spent, the person whose fund was created for, in this case Trump, gets to keep that money. He just gets to keep it. Now, the last that I had heard, and this may not be correct, I'm saying that right out now, is that the Trump inaugural fund had reached $100 million. If he only spends 50, he gets to keep the other 50. Literally gets to keep it and put it in his pocket. It is an underhanded way to borrow a term from Trump. It sounds like a deep state sort of way to buy an American president. But then again, we already knew Trump he's already owned. It's hard to buy something that other people already own. You can't be bought wholly. You might be able to buy a tiny piece of it. The Saudis own a chunk of it. Putin owns a big chunk of it. The Chinese own a chunk of it. Wall Street owns a chunk of it. Musk owns a chunk of it. Then again, at 300 pounds, there's still a lot to go around, but I don't know how many of those pieces there's not already owned. It's a funny thing about these inaugural funds. He could raise $1 billion, $2 billion, $10 billion, $100 billion. If he only spends $1 million, he keeps the rest of the money. Jeff Bezos donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration. He didn't contribute a dime to Biden's. Zuckerberg donated $1 million. Didn't give a dime to Joe Biden. Musk donated $1 million. Joe Biden. It is simply another way to buy influence. Buy a seat at the table. I had someone earlier today comment on a post that I had put up at our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information, about how we were slipping into fascism. Folks were already there, and I think most of you know it. Find me a Republican administration since Nixon. And with Nixon, perhaps the EPA, where common folk, where the 99% benefited from a Republican decision. Actually, even Nixon, the Democrats in the EPA, he signed it though. Billionaires own the system. The irony of what's coming in 2026, that this country will celebrate, and we will celebrate, 250 years as a democracy, when in fact, we are no longer one. I look forward and I hope that I'm still on the air then, so that we can really delve into and swim in the irony of that for calendar 2026. That we will take an entire year to celebrate the 250th anniversary of this country. And we'll still be a nation. We won't be a democracy because we aren't one now. Billionaires own the system. They own one political party. And they own too damn much of the other one. Hundreds of legislators in D.C. who do only what they are directed to do. No independent thought, no fact-finding trips, no calls, letters, town halls with constituents. They just do what the donors tell them. They don't initiate legislation. They don't broker deals across the aisle anymore. They just do what they're told. And there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, of state and local legislators across this country who are just as bad. Christ, the Koch network spends money in school board elections, for God's sake. I would bet you a shiny penny that the very first legislation that comes out of this second Trump regime will be $7 trillion tax. The one he promised during the campaign to the donors and then lied about to the rest of the people's faces. We almost made it. We almost made it to 250. We'll still be a country in 2026. Didn't quite beat Athens for the length of democracy. That's all the time we have for tonight. It's been great being back with you. We did miss you. To all the new names that I saw in the watch list here, thank you, and I hope you continue to be with our program. To all the regulars who returned, I did miss you. I hope we'll have time to talk more about the wedding going forward. It's so kind of you to even ask and care about it. It's kindness that I don't deserve. Kristen deserves it. I don't. But it's been so nice of you to ask how we are and ask how everything went. It's been brilliant. It really has. For everybody here at the Kennedy Effect and at GCPR, that's Lynn and George, Kristen, Thomas, Gilbert. I saw Gambit was in here. Everybody here at GCPR and the Kennedy Effect. And of course for April Riddick as well. I'm Jeff Kennedy. That's all we have time for. Hurricane Girls coming up next. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. Thomas returns tomorrow morning. That's it for us for tonight. We'll see you again on Thursday from 8 p.m. as he swallows right before the sentence. Worst thing you can do on radio. Hurricane Girls starts